How did pirates manage to endure the coldest nights without fire, without rules, and with no mercy from the sea? While sailors stuck to orders and chilled to the bone, pirates shattered every survival rule and somehow stayed alive. Their approach shouldn't have worked, yet it did. Once you understand their method, winter survival will never feel the same. Let's begin with what they wore. As the sun set and temperatures fell, pirates confronted a harsh truth: fashion was secondary to survival. Their clothing choices weren't about style, but about enduring another dangerous night. Wool became their go-to, a true lifesaver on icy evenings. It worked wonders, keeping pirates warm even when drenched by spray or rain from the ocean. When wool got wet, it still kept in more heat than any other fabric they came across at sea. The natural fibers formed tiny air pockets that held onto warmth. But here's the thing about pirate clothing: they didn't exactly browse the local market. Heavy coats were usually taken from raids on naval ships and merchant vessels. These jackets, taken from others, were usually heavy, lined with extra material, made for rough sea weather. Pirates had a distinctive approach to shopping: and grab first, ask questions never. Both pirates each had just one set of clothes, wearing the same outfit constantly, day and night, week after week. Washing them was a gamble: risk hypothermia while waiting for everything to dry. These guys came up with the idea of wearing the same clothes until they could almost walk on their own. Pirates figured out how to layer effectively to stay warm and boost their chances of survival. Linens and undershirts were put on first, soaking up sweat and serving as an essential base layer against the skin. Pirates traded in their pirate gear for wool shirts, topped with whichever outer coat they could snatch during raids or trades. Stockings weren't just for feet, they'd be wrapped around arms, legs, and even necks like improvised scarves, adding extra insulation. And then there was the rum dilemma that exposed how little pirates understood about body heat. Pirates drank plenty of alcohol before bed, believing it would heat them up from the inside. The funny part? It actually dropped their core temperature, leaving them colder in the end and more at risk of hypothermia. Yet, that brief feeling of warmth was so tempting that most pirates never caught on. Even their heads needed shielding. Bandanas and hats stayed in place all night. Pirates piled on so many head coverings that some resembled walking laundry heaps with eyes. But staying warm in their clothing was just the start of their nightly fight for survival. Pirates rocked in hammocks hanging below deck, tussling to rest while battling the cold creeping through every crack in the wooden hull. Sleep was the line between being able to carry on the next day or crashing from exhaustion in a vital moment. Hammocks kept pirates above the cold, damp floor and swayed with the ship's movement. Still, canvas hammocks provided no insulation against the relentless cold air that enveloped them constantly. Sleeping on canvas in winter felt like wrapping yourself in a sail and crossing your fingers. Pirates had to get inventive with their bedding, where the right choice could mean life or death. Old sailcloth turned into blankets when folded up many times, and animal hides from past raids added extra warmth. Scraps of rope were intertwined to form denser protective layers, resembling a nest, but this one swung 6 feet above the ground. Sharing body heat became a regular habit, saving many lives during harsh winter nights. Pirates would cram into a single hammock or hang their hammocks close, exchanging warmth through their bodies. This wasn't about friendship or comfort. It was straightforward survival, knowing whether you'd wake up or freeze to death. Pirates realized that personal space was a luxury they couldn't afford as their fingers turned blue. The areas below deck stayed a bit warmer since walls blocked the wind, but those spots came with heavy compromises. Stay cold and dry or get warm and soggy. Clever pirates used sailcloth and tarps to block the gaps in the ship's hull. These improvised fixes stopped drafts that could turn a cozy sleep into a freezing ordeal. Pirates turned into expert patchers, not for crafting fancy garments, but for sealing holes and keeping death at bay. Still, even the best sleeping setups meant little if someone had to stay awake all night on guard. Pirates had to remain vigilant, keep warm, and stay alive while surrounded by nothing but icy wind and darkness. Most pirates lost their lives from exposure during night watch, so these survival skills were vital for staying breathing. Fire was strictly prohibited on deck. Wooden ships transported gunpowder, cloth sails, and barrels of flammable substances that could ignite in an instant. A single reckless spark could transform their floating home into the priciest bonfire imaginable. Their main defense against the creeping cold that could gradually kill them was constant movement. Pirates on watch kept moving constantly, pacing, swinging their arms in circles, and jumping in place to keep blood flowing through their frozen limbs. The night watch seemed like a mix of guard duty and an impromptu dance performance. When possible, warm drinks offered a brief respite during the long, cold hours before dawn. Broth, grog, or tea warmed throughout the day was thoughtfully stretched out for night watches, when temperatures dipped to their most perilous. These drinks provided pirates with about 20 to 30 minutes of inside heat before the cold reclaimed its hold and risked their lives. People would make makeshift hand warmers by heating stones or bricks, giving brief relief from frozen fingers. Pirates often wrapped them in cloth and kept them on hand during their watch. The warmth would usually last around 2 hours before the stones cooled down and became just heavy, cold rocks that couldn't prevent frostbite anymore. Crew rotation was vital to avoid hypothermia, which could kill pirates within just a few hours of exposure. Pirates alternated between deck duties and tasks below deck every 2 hours without fail. This rotation guaranteed that nobody remained exposed to freezing conditions long enough to become dangerously cold or lose consciousness from the cold. Wind barriers made from barrels, crates, and canvas offered vital protection. These makeshift shelters could warm the surrounding air by 10 to 15 degrees. Pirates constructed forts using barrels and ropes, engaging an unseen foe they could sense but not directly see. Null, role: assistant. Food turned into energy to stoke internal fires that kept organs running when the outside temperatures dipped below freezing. Stews were the top pirates for cooking because they offered the most warmth with each bite while conserving their scarce freshwater. They tossed salted meat, dried peas, and hardtack biscuits into iron pots along with whatever fresh water they could afford to use from their limited rations. Pirate stew was basically the first hot pocket, but it really kept you warm for hours. Getting the timing right for these hot meals was key to staying alive during the coldest, most dangerous times. Pirates figured out to eat their warmest food just before bedtime, boosting their internal heat when they needed it most. Warm stew before bedtime felt like ingesting a furnace that burned steadily through the night. Salt pork and beef were everyday essentials because they stored easily and packed enough calories to drive internal heat. Turtle meat was a rare indulgence, enjoyed when they managed to catch one during warmer months or at coastal stops. These meats took a while to cook, but they offered steady energy that kept bodies warm throughout the night as the outside temperature dropped. Spices like pepper, clove, and nutmeg weren't just for taste, they gave a warming effect that spread inside, like a fire kindling itself. Pirates would seek out merchant ships carrying spice cargo, aware that these valuable seasonings could be the key to survival or doom. Broths and soups, with their particular benefits over solid foods, made them ideal for enduring cold weather conditions. Pirates could enjoy sips of warm broth during their watch, helping them stay warmer better than eating cold, dry food that offered no quick warmth. Their iron cooking pots served multiple purposes. Once used for cooking, these heavy pots kept their heat for hours, and pirates would wrap them in cloth to use as makeshift bed warmers. These iron pots double as dinner plates and hot water bottles, making them the perfect all-in-one pirate tool. But staying nourished and warm was just one side of the fight. Maintaining their ship and surviving the freezing weather demanded a whole different set of skills. Every rope, sail, and piece of gear seemed like an enemy fighting against pirates trying to keep their ship afloat. Maintaining everything in freezing weather was perilous work that often resulted in fingers, toes, or even entire hands suffering from frostbite. Ropes transformed into frozen cords that couldn't be untied with usual methods unless special warming techniques were used. Pirates had to melt them with warm seawater or rub them between their hands until friction produced enough heat. Frozen ropes felt like trying to handle cables carved from solid ice. Iron sails posed a unique challenge that demanded risky, physical remedies. Ice built up on the fabric, weighing it down and making fine-tuning impossible. Pirates resorted to using oars and clubs to systematically bash the ice away. Their mornings were spent grossly whacking at falling ice chunks from 30 feet overhead, playing a rough game of whack-a-mole. Using bare hands was standard since gloves were scarce and costly luxuries that most pirates never possessed. Continuously gripping frozen metal and rope caused cracked skin, lasting numbness, and lasting harm that plagued pirates throughout their brief lifespans. After a single harsh winter at sea, many pirates found their fingers irreversibly numb. The decks turned into icy skating surfaces, slick with ice that made walking risky and deadly during storms. To stay safe, pirates spread sand or sawdust across the deck, giving footing and stopping crew members from slipping into the freezing water below. Frost gathering on masts and rigging was a persistent danger that could sink the whole ship if ignored. Pirates had to scramble up icy masks with their bare hands to chip away the ice, risking falls and serious harm. Scaling the frozen rigging was like doing acrobatics on icy monkey bars while the entire structure swayed and shook beneath them. The harsh reality of keeping ships afloat in icy conditions took a heavy toll. Pirates endured lasting hand injuries, lost fingers to frostbite, and faced ongoing pain from constant exposure to the frigid cold. But maybe, just maybe, the ships themselves were secretly aiding them in ways they never understood. Pirate ships unexpectedly turned into floating survival shelters, and most pirates had no clue they were living inside winter fortresses. Many pirate vessels were stolen merchant ships or smaller boats repurposed, never meant for comfort or harsh weather. Iceboxes. The endless cycle of keeping ships afloat and seeking land refuge shaped pirate life through the coldest seasons, a constant struggle to stay mobile enough to dodge capture while also finding enough warmth to survive. However, their simple design ended up providing unforeseen benefits that aided the crew in enduring harsh winter conditions at sea. These floating wooden frames proved to be more effective winter shelters than anyone anticipated. Their smaller openings and low-deck layouts kept body heat contained below deck more efficiently than larger naval ships with higher ceilings. The tight lower decks remained warmer than the open sea breezes could reach, forming natural heat spots that kept lives safe during the coldest winter nights at sea. Titan planks crafted from dense oak provided surprisingly effective insulation, especially compared to the thinner or cheaper woods often used in hastily constructed naval vessels. Null, role: assistant. Pirates basically transformed their ships into overcrowded saunas, but instead of relaxing, they faced the struggle for survival. Gun ports and small hatches could be sealed with tarred canvas or wooden plugs in cold weather, helping to cut down on dangerous drafts that could freeze the crew solid. Pirates figured out how to seal off every gap that let cold air seep into their floating homes, transforming their ships into surprisingly good windshields. Cargo holds packed with stolen items usually included animal fat, gunpowder, wool, spices, and other materials that provided extra insulation to the lower decks. These pilfered valuables added extra insulation against the cold and provided bulk that helped keep heat inside the ship. Pirates unintentionally invented portable winter fortresses just by trying to loot and survive. Still, sometimes the only real fix for life on a cold ship was simply getting off it altogether. The land provided resources, shelter, and chances that no amount of ship cunning could match during the brutal winter months. Our time was limited and risky, demanding meticulous planning to boost our chances of survival and steer clear of naval forces. Coves and harbors offered brief refuge for pirates, shielding them from the biting sea winds and helping them regain their strength. Over time, pirates turned into skilled explorers, scanning coastlines for safe harbors much like desperate homebuyers hunting for any place with four walls. During the cold months, coastal raids focused on much more than just treasure, as survival supplies grew more precious than gold. Blankets, cloaks, firewood, and preserved food were hot commodities, often valued more than silver by the freezing pirates. Pirates attacked towns as if they were doing intense winter shopping, only instead of paying with coins, they used swords. Taking over small villages for a while allowed pirates to access proper shelter, walls, roofs, and fireplaces that could keep them alive. These moments were typically short, but they offered vital chances to finally warm up and dry out clothes that had been soaked for weeks at sea. Pirates could finally shed their frozen garments and let their skin breathe again after months. Fire was the ultimate luxury, something pirates could only indulge in on land without risking their vessel or crew. Abandoned or stolen structures became refuge points where people could safely light fires to dry clothes and cook food, all while avoiding the danger of ship fires that could wipe everyone out. After weeks of enduring the cold, sitting beside a real fire felt like magic, like something that could bring dead limbs back to life. Shore leave gave pirates the chance for vital repairs that couldn't be properly done on a moving ship in freezing weather. Dry clothes, bedding, and proper rest were only feasible on land where fires could be safely lit without risking the entire vessel and crew's lives. The constant danger of naval patrols meant pirates couldn't linger in one spot for long. They treated shore leave like a quick escape, packing weeks' worth of warmth and comfort into a few stolen days before heading back to their floating hideouts.